All right, so we're doing part two of selectors and just adding a few things that you can do to pinpoint what you want to select to place actions on with Jquery. And of course, you can identify anything you want with classes and with IDs or elements. But if we want to have to write less, then we can also use the attributes of elements, and we can use the order that elements show up in. And I'm just going to show you some of those things. All right, so first off, you should start off with this code in your lesson. And you see we still, just as a reminder, you have to reference the script. You want to create your script tags or your script area here where you're going to put in your JavaScript. We still have our ready function, and then we're still going to use the button as our click. In our next couple lessons, we're going to talk about other things you can do other than clicks, other than running it with a button. You can talk about what we can generate just straight when the lesson starts or when the page loads. But let's just go through this. What we're going to do is we're going to use first the order that the element shows up on the page as a way to reference that order without having to or reference that element without having to use a class or an ID. And then we're going to talk about using the attributes, and we'll just play around with that. So just a few things. It'll go really quickly. First off, let's look at our page. You see here I have 3 paragraphs. Then I have an unordered list with 3 items. And then I have 2 links, one that goes to the NFL and the one that goes to a non-NFL page. And then I have a table here. And I'm going to show you how you can select the first paragraph on a page. Remember we did this sort of with like the first line of text with our style sheets. And this is something where with JavaScript you can pick the first element, the first line, the first row, etc. And then we're also going to do where I have a link, one that goes to NFL.com, the other one goes to a different website, and I can actually select using my JavaScript. I can say I only want to have my action apply to links that go to this specific website, right? So you can really have it be very, very flexible. All right, so first off, what we're going to do is we're going to, picking on what we did last time, we're going to select the first paragraph. So we have 3 paragraphs here. And the way we're going to select the first paragraph is one of our, remember our, we talked about them as selectors, I think, with style sheets. So we're going to go here, and I'm going to say P, right? Now, right now, if I say P hide, it's going to hide all of my paragraphs, right? But what I want to do is I don't want to hide all of them. I want to only hide the first one, all right? So right here, I put in first, P colon first. Remember how we do that with like hover and stuff? This is P colon first. And then that first one goes. Great. Now, of course, we can change the background color or whatever if we want as well. Let's say that I want to do the first list item on a list. I want to do something to it. Well, I can go in here and I can say I'm doing a unordered list, and then I'm going to do the first child. Okay, that's going to be my first child of this unordered list. And I click Save Work and Show Web Page. I see all my items. Click me, that first one disappears. Now, of course, I can also do CSS, right? I can change the color of it just like we did last time. Color, red, same type of thing. These are the two, basically hide and CSS are the two things that we've tried. I think we also did HTML a couple lessons ago in terms of changing the text. So click me, I change it to red. Let's just do that because I'm here. HTML. Let's change that to be favorite amendment. Now, we're going to play around with lots of stuff, right, where it changes to whatever the person enters. But if I click here, I change the text, I can do anything I want. Great. All right. The next thing that we want to do is we want to, actually, I'm going to skip over the links and just show something that's pretty cool. See our table here. Remember we did like odd and even rows where we had 2 classes? We had to say this is going to be the even class or odd class, but we had to determine it in the style sheet. Well, I can do that dynamically because JavaScript allows me to specify even and odd rows. So I'm going to do tr table row, and I want the even ones to be, let's say I want the even ones color, or actually background color, and remember we're using regular CSS instead of the JavaScript CSS that we learned. We don't have to do it that way anymore. I'm going to say azure, one of my favorite colors here. So right now you can see I've got my table, but when I click me, it's going to change my color, and the even rows are going to be this color and the odd rows are going to be left alone. Okay, now maybe you don't want these evens and odds, you don't want the first row to be counted. So what you have to do then, and I sort of prepped us for this, is I set it up that the first row is just a tr, but everything else has a row class. And so what I can do here, there's a lot of ways to do this. I could specify that I want the first row to be background color of white and every other row be different. But let's just say I'm going to come in here and only specify tr row class with a class of row class, and I want the even ones to be background color of azure. And now it starts off here. Now it's a little odd, right? Because this is the first row and this should be the second row, but so this is the, what is it, even or odd? Even. Oh, I wonder if it starts at 0. That's a little weird. So in this situation, I would change that to odd and click me, and it would do this. So even what I really want the second one to do it, but I have to call it odd because this is the different row. So you might want to play around with that. It's a little confusing, but just you can specify alternating rows. Let's just call it alternating rows. Okay. The last thing that I want to show you is the ability to do something with the link. So I have two links here. I have one link that goes to the NFL, and I have another link that goes to a non-NFL link. But look what I can do. So I can say, if I want to, I can say I want to do everything that has an attribute, every element that has an attribute of href, right? So this is an anchor that has an attribute of href. href, right? So doesn't matter doesn't matter what this value is. It's going to go any element that has a attribute of href. I'm going to do something to. So what do I want to do to it? Let's just do that. Background color. We'll change that to blue. A little easier to see. All right. So now when I click this button, it's going to give everything on the page that has a value of href. This is something that's just an administrative thing that I use, so ignore that. To the background color of whatever I specified. But if I want to, I can go deeper, right? Let's say I only want things that have a certain value. Well, and that's pretty cool because I can say any table rows that have a class of this or a size of this. So you can really dig in and pick only the stuff that you want. So in this case, I'm going to do and use. Remember that if you're using double quotations, you only use those when JavaScript tells you to. You use single quotes when you are doing other things like you want to include a quote in the instructions. So here I'm going to do, if it has a href value of NFL.com, then this is only going to apply to that element, not other elements, right? So right here, if I click this, it's only going to make this blue. It's going to ignore all the other ones that I had sort of caught up in my list when I did it originally. All right, so that's a way that you can go and really get into almost anything you want about your page. You just can decide what order it's in. Obviously, you can use classes and IDs. You can come in here and say if it has a certain value, or certain size, certain anything, I want to change that. All right, so your assignment is to go through and use look at your assignment and just use those specific selectors to either hide them or change the colors so that you can feel comfortable with these very common tools to. I'll show you one more actually. One more thing is that let's say I have href equals this, but let's say that I want everything but a link that has that to turn blue. Well, I can change this equal to a not equal by putting a exclamation point in front of it. So right here, now when I click this, it's going to turn everything blue except for something that has that value. All right, well, and that's a situation which was a little unexpected for me. So I might need to play around with that. Oh, that's because I said, what I said is any element that does not have the value of ahref. Now, if I want to say any link that does not have the value, then I can put in here a as a target, and now it's only going to highlight the anchors or the links that don't have that value. Otherwise, I said anything that doesn't have that value, and that's everything on the page. All right. This is a good start. Look at your assignment, and then you can go through and do these tools. This is really about just understanding how you can use JavaScript to select items on your page to then do stuff to. And that's what we'll be doing the next lesson is hiding and changing the CSS and moving things around. Actually, we'll do that. We're going to do more of that, but we're going to talk about what you can do other than click, how you can do like mouse overs and key presses and all kinds of cool stuff. It starts getting really, really neat.